Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving into an explainer on the evolution of PAN OS, and we're going to look at why modernizing your network security architecture is, well, it's not just some routine software upgrade. It's a complete, fundamental transformation for IT professionals. I mean, if you're managing networks right now, you already know the digital landscape is shifting faster than ever, and those traditional security models, they're hitting a very real ceiling. Let's break down exactly how this new architecture is totally changing the game.
Now, how do you secure a network that literally never stops growing? It's a massive question, and it hits right at the breaking point IT teams are facing today with legacy point-to-point firewalls. Think about your own environment for a second. You're constantly adding users, spinning up new cloud instances, plugging in new devices. Your network isn't the static perimeter anymore. It's a living, breathing, endlessly expanding entity. And trying to secure that dynamic growth with a rigid, older architecture, it's becoming nearly impossible.
When you mix in massive cloud adoption and AI integration across your infrastructure, you quickly realize the old way of doing things just can't keep up. We're talking about exponential digital scale here, combined with the absolute necessity for API-driven automation. Your threat response simply has to be as fast. Actually, scratch that. It has to be faster than the threats evolving out there. Those legacy firewalls operating in their little silos, they naturally just hit a wall when pushed against these intense modern demands. Which brings us to Section 1. The hub and spoke revolution, centralizing the truth. We're finally moving away from that messy, distributed web of direct point-to-point connections. You know the drill. That legacy model meant policies were scattered everywhere, creating massive operational complexity. It's basically an admin's nightmare trying to maintain any kind of consistency. But the modernized approach, it's a clean, centralized hub and spoke model. Your hub acts as the single source of truth, and every firewall, the spokes, syncs policies and identity configurations in real time. It completely wipes out those frustrating inconsistencies. Let's move on to Section 2, massive architectural performance gains, scaling for the modern enterprise. 10 million. Let that sink in. The modernized PAN OS can now support up to 10 million identity context users. That is just staggering. We're not talking about some minor 20% bump here. We're looking at an entirely new tier of scalability. It's what allows massive global enterprises to operate without constantly worrying about hitting a ceiling. To put that into perspective, if we look at user capacity overall, you're getting up to a 20x increase compared to the older architecture. Imagine taking your current capacity and literally multiplying it by 20. That is the kind of headroom that actually lets network engineers sleep at night. Right? You just know the infrastructure can handle sudden, massive influxes of new users without breaking a sweat. But it's not just about the sheer number of users. It's about what those users are actually doing. Session scalability doubles as well. This is absolutely crucial for keeping your network resilient when traffic spikes unpredictably. Think major product launches, a sudden shift to remote work, or massive data transfer events. And beyond just the raw user and session numbers, you're getting a whole host of incredible engineering upgrades. We're talking 200 gigabit per second firewall clusters with integrated balancing. You get significantly faster boot times, which, let's be honest, is a total lifesaver during reboots or upgrades. Instant scaling is way more efficient, and you have vastly improved BGP routing capacity to support more neighbors. It's really just a comprehensive leveling up of the entire system's performance. This takes us to Section 3, the new commit process, revolutionizing your maintenance windows. Okay, we all know the pain of the old model. It was a risky, minutes-long sequential chore. Because validation and application were basically bundled together, one single minor error at the very end meant a complete, agonizing rollback. We've all been there, sitting and staring at the progress bar, holding our breath, just praying nothing fails and ruins our Friday night maintenance window. Well, the new process completely re-engineers that workflow. It separates validation into its own isolated step. Then, once it's validated, the configuration is applied to the control plane and the data plane in parallel. By decoupling those actions, the system practically eliminates the risk of a total crash or those dreaded complete rollbacks. Because of this parallel processing, your commit times drop from agonizing minutes down to just seconds. Seriously, seconds, not minutes. This is a huge deal. It drastically shrinks your maintenance windows and gives you a much more agile response when you need to push a critical security policy out to production immediately. Next up, Section 4, telemetry and proactive AI ops, seeing the unseen in your network. So, because the new PAN OS is natively API first, you can seamlessly tie it into automated pipelines or manage the whole thing centrally through Strata Cloud Manager. You do still have local firewall administration if you need it, but with features like zero-touch provisioning and programmatically controlling policies, you can scale operations without needing that constant manual hands-on keyboard intervention. Now, this strict separation of the control plane and the data plane, this is the secret sauce for the system's incredible resilience. By keeping them totally separate, your data plane stays rock solid. Even if the control plane is getting hammered with management load, like say you're pushing massive automated updates or pulling heavy telemetry, the actual flow of network traffic remains completely unaffected. High availability synchronization just works exactly the way it's supposed to. Of course, even in the absolute best systems, things occasionally go wrong. But when they do, this new process-level telemetry is an absolute game changer. We aren't just looking at generic system health anymore. You can now track CPU usage to pinpoint exact resource hogs, monitor active threads to find bottlenecks, and use specific process IDs to dramatically speed up root cause analysis. When you combine that with flow-tracked enriched logs, you can identify issues with surgical precision. But instead of just reacting to logs after a crash, the introduction of AI Ops means your firewall is actually working for you. It actively detects anomalies and warns you about hardware degradation before your users even notice a glitch. It gives you AI-driven upgrade recommendations and suggests policy optimizations. It totally shifts your posture from reactive firefighting right into proactive optimization. Finally, Section 5, the future of network security, a resilient automated platform. By establishing that centralized truth we talked about earlier and keeping that API-first approach, this platform is perfectly tailored for modern setups. Whether you're running multi-cloud, hybrid deployments, or managing globally distributed networks that need to scale dynamically, this unified approach to identity and telemetry gives you complete end-to-end visibility. Ultimately, the takeaway here is that we aren't just speeding up old firewalls. To quote the underlying philosophy, we're replacing the limitations of the traditional model with a faster, scalable, and intelligent architecture built for massive scale. We are moving away from that traditional reactive chore into a proactive, AI-driven machine built from the ground up for massive modern environments. So it leaves us with a really fascinating question about the evolution of the network engineer's role. If your firewall can predict its own problems, scale effortlessly, and commit changes in seconds instead of minutes, when all that stressful busywork just vanishes, what incredible innovations will you build with the time you save? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.